Hey guys, welcome to today's lesson. We are going back to a few basics here in regards to mindset and in regards to goal setting. And it's the most overlooked yet but massively critical component of your journey is having the right mindset and setting goals at specific times. So what we're going to do, we're going to explore how a proper mindset and strategic goal setting will create the bedrock even for your lasting change. All right. The right mental framework in place will make a huge difference with this. So why does mindset matter first and foremost? Well, the harsh truth is that most people fail before they even begin. This isn't because of a lack of motivation, isn't because of a lack of information. It's because their mindset isn't properly aligned with their ambitions. And that's what we need to change. So success in transforming your body and transforming your health generally stems from a bit of belief, okay? Not just action. You need to actually believe in what you are trying to achieve. So your mind establishes the ceiling for your results, regardless of how perfect your training or nutrition plan might be. So when you believe in meaningful change, when you believe it's possible, your behaviors are naturally going to align with that conviction and you will act like the person you want to become right now. I talk about that a lot, don't I? Acting like the person you want to become, because if you can instill those habits now, they're going to become second nature and you will achieve the goals and become the person you want to become. So first up, we're going to look at the problem with traditional goals. So basically, they're a bit too vague, they're a bit unrealistic, and they're kind of just outcome focused more than anything. So in terms of vagueness and vague aspirations, things like I want to lose weight, it just lacks specificity and direction. It's not clear enough. It's not got enough clarity around it. So if you say, I want to lose weight, there's not enough to it. It needs to be more detailed. You need to have more kind of directness and conviction in what it is you want to achieve. Okay. The ambiguity around that kind of vagueness leads to inconsistent effort and difficulty measuring progress because you just don't know what you actually want to achieve. It's too vague. It's not specific enough. Unrealistic expectations. So saying to yourself, right, I'm going to train 7 days a week. I'm going to eat 1,000 calories every single day. Unrealistic. And what happens there is you will crash and burn. You really will crash and burn. What it does as well is going to put unnecessary pressure on you to be perfect all the time. And that leads to inevitable disappointment. So again, we want to avoid those unrealistic expectations. We want something you can do 80% of the time and 20% you can chill. The 80-20 works with everything, guys, the Pareto principle. So I'd rather you be 80% consistent and do that for 10, 20 weeks in a row rather than being 100% consistent and only doing it for 2 weeks and then having 4 weeks off because you crashed and burned and you felt like a failure, right? And then the outcome fixations of solely focusing on results rather than the process is going to lead to impatience. It's going to lead to frustration because at times the scale won't move. There'll be times when motivation dips. There'll be times when you're feeling poorly. There'll be times when you just ain't feeling it at all. Then if you're just solely fixed on the scale moving or your measurements changing and you're not focused on the process, again, it's going to really lead to kind of you feeling frustrated. It's going to lead to you probably throwing the towel and jacking it in. So these are flawed approaches to goal setting, and all they do is create a cycle of overwhelm, they create a cycle of disappointment, and they create a cycle of eventual abandonment. And that is what we want to avoid. We want to maintain and stay consistent with this, don't we? So what winning goals look like. Now, you might have heard of this. It's used in all sorts of realms of life, but SMART goals, okay? Specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. It spells SMART. So specific. Now, instead of being vague, we need to be specific with what you want to achieve. Lose 5 kilograms in 12 weeks. This is going to provide you a clear target and eliminates any ambiguity that can really kind of put you off, okay? Measurable. You need to track things, track your weight, waist measurements, progress photos, performance metrics, quantify your journey in that respect. Even journal how you're feeling every single day. Do you wake up with more energy? Do you finish the day with more energy? Achievable. Goals must be realistic and they must fit into your lifestyle. Otherwise, they're not going to be sustainable. It needs to account for your work, family, and your social commitments as well. The relevance of it, so the objective should align with your deeper values. Who do you want to become? How do you want to look? How do you want to feel? Your goal should align with that, okay? What truly matters to you, and that will give you lasting motivation. And then time bound, you need to set yourself a time frame. Create some clear deadlines that create urgency and they prevent procrastination. If you've got no timeline and you've got no time bound goal set, it's very easy to just think, oh, I'll get there eventually. I'll have a pizza today because I don't have to achieve a goal by a certain date. Set yourself a time frame and let's go for it. All right. That's a really important one for accountability purposes. Now, this is the most important thing I want you to focus on. Rather than a goal, I want you to start thinking of the identity shift that you are going to take part in throughout the course of this journey. So the most powerful transformation happens when you shift from outcome-based thinking to identity-based thinking, all right? So stop thinking things like, I'm trying to lose weight, and start thinking, I'm the type of person who loses weight. I'm the type of person who gets up to go to the gym. I'm the type of person who goes for a walk every day. I'm the type of person who eats healthy food. When you do this, that becomes your identity. When that becomes your identity and you're consistent with that, that just becomes you. That is who you are going to become. So when your actions flow from your sense of self, rather than temporary motivation, consistency becomes natural. Identity will drive your habits, and then habits drive results, and that is what we ultimately want. So this could be things like you're the type of person that eats balanced meals, not because you're on a diet, but because it's who you are and you know it's good for you. You're the type of person who trains consistently, not because you have to, but because it's simply what you do and you enjoy it. You're the type of person who prioritizes your health daily, not as a temporary project, but as an expression of your core values and what you believe in and who you actually are. Okay. Then building belief in yourself. Big topic. Evidence is greater than motivation here. So confidence isn't something you are born with. It is built through consistent proof that you can do what you set out to do. It's built from proving to yourself that you can do difficult things and you don't quit at every opportunity. That is what confidence is. So when you can say to yourself, I'm the type of person that sees my goals through, that does difficult tasks, that is when you will start to become more confident in yourself. The key to this isn't about wholesale changes. It's about stacking small wins on top of each other that are easily achievable, so you can consistently say, I can do that, I can do that, I can do that. Okay, so hitting your step goal, you can do that. Drinking a water target, tick that off. Yes, I can do that. Reaching your protein target, tick it off. Yes, I can do that. Completing your planned workouts, boom, I can do that. When you say that to yourself consistently, you build confidence in your ability to do the things that most people don't want to do. And that is an amazing thing to have. So every small victory you have here is going to create evidence that you're capable of change. Okay. And it gradually, step by step, builds unshakable belief. And that will give you the belief to transform yourself, not from a physical standpoint, not just from a physical, but also from a mental standpoint too. So your task after watching this, okay, today, very important. I want you to write down 3 goals for the next 12 weeks that follow these principles. 3 goals, okay? 1 fitness goal or health outcome. I want you to write this down, be as specific as possible with it. 1 process goal. So this is going to be, an example would be complete 3 strength workouts and 2 cardio sessions. This focuses on the consistent actions. It could be, I'm going to complete 70,000 steps every week. It could be, I'm going to hit protein target every single day. Yeah? And then 1 mindset or identity goal. So the example of this would be, I'm someone who fuels my body, not just feeds it. I'm someone who exercises 4 times a week. I am someone who is going to run a 5K. Yeah, 1 mindset, 1 identity goal. Make sure we've got that in as well. But the fitness goal needs to be specific. That's the most important thing to begin with. So example here would be lose 5 kilograms while maintaining muscle tissue. Set yourself a time on that as well. 5 kilograms in 12 weeks. Boom, let's go. Set yourself a goal. And I want you all to do this when you watch this, please. So just take 5 minutes, craft your goals, be specific, realistic, and be aligned with who you want to become. All right? Cool. Now, final reminder in today's lesson, big transformations start with small shifts. So your mindset and goals aren't just preliminary steps, okay? They form the foundation of the entire Zenith ecosystem that I've created here, right? Every workout, every meal plan, every habit that we build together will rest upon the clarity and conviction you establish today. So the journey of 1,000 miles begins with a single step. Simple as that. 1 step forward, then the next, then the next. Before you know it, if you're consistent with those steps, you've done a mile. Before you know it, you've done 10 miles. Before you know it, you have done 1,000 miles. And that is what is going to get you to where you want to be. And that is how you end up with the feeding and looking and being the person you want to become. So guys, hopefully this has made a lot of sense. If you have any questions about this, which again, I'm sure you have, please do not be afraid to ask. But let's set some goals, set some times around it, and let's really focus on the vision of who you want to become. Okay, have a great day, take care, and I'll speak to you later.